Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 16th of March, now it's 11:30, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There is quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me once again emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. It really does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. That being said, let me make a little announcement. Today I will try to make this update a little bit differently. I will record small parts of it and then with the with help of some montage program, I will combine all the episodes and I will upload it as a one whole piece. I hope this will increase quality of content, but anyway, please don't be too critical. I'm trying to learn basically on daily basis, so let's see how it will go. So first news that I like to share with you is about Ukrainian special military operation, of course, and this is RIA Novosti's report about statements that head of Pentagon Lloyd Austin made during his conversation with the journalists. So according to Lloyd Austin, Washington will not push Zelensky to make any decisions in terms of Bakhmut direction. It's entirely up to Zelensky and his military commanders to decide how long to continue defense of Bakhmut or when to withdraw forces from that city and how to conduct such a operation. According to Austin, Washington will not see withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from Bakhmut as a defeat of Ukraine in this conflict. It will mean just regrouping. So that's statements that Austin made about situation in Bakhmut, but in my understanding, this kind of statement is one more indicator that Washington is quite actively trying to distance itself from inevitable defeat of Zelensky's regime in Bakhmut and Bakhmut direction in general. I think in coming days we will see more and more these kind of statements, not just from US, but also from heads of European states, from London. First of all, because of course, once Bakhmut become under full Russian control and fairly soon Chisiv also, of course, society in the Western states will probably start asking questions how it's possible that despite so many billions and billions of dollars that have been sent to Zelensky's regime and thousands of pieces of military equipment, it's still Russian side is managing to conduct successful offensive operations, not the Zelensky's regime, and probably Western elites will find it hard to explain themselves. So that's why they will probably try to distance from Bakhmut fiasco of Zelensky's regime as much as they can. So that's why I think this statement from Lloyd Austin is interesting. Let's continue now. This is RIA Novosti news agency is reporting that even Ukrainian armed forces that are trapped in Bakhmut openly now talking about difficulties that they are facing on a daily basis. We have statement here from press spokesman of 93rd Mechanized Brigade of Ukrainian Armed Forces, Irina Rybakova. She did talk to one of the Ukrainian TV channels, Rada, that's the name of TV channel, and she stated that situation in Bakhmut is very difficult, especially because Bakhmut garnison is unable to receive much necessary reinforcement and supplies. And that's because all the roads are under Russian direct control or under Russian artillery's control, and still country and the same time country roads that can be theoretically used to resupply Bakhmut garrison are too broken, and it's almost impossible for military or civilian vehicles to move on that roads because of mud, simply. And according to press spokesman of 93rd Mechanized Brigade, Ukrainian side find it very difficult to defend a city in this condition when they have no enough reinforcements and resupplies. That's one more indicator that it's only a matter of days and Bakhmut garrison will collapse and some parts of garrison will try to retreat, and another part will probably surrender to Russian side. Let's continue now. And this is still RIA Novosti report. And this time we have statement from head of DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, Denis Pushilin, who said that despite some indicators that Zelensky's regime is planning to withdraw forces from Bakhmut, for now at least it's the opposite picture, and Zelensky's regime sending more and more reinforcement in the Bakhmut direction, especially in Chisov Yar, to reinforce Chisov Yar garrison. And this is probably true, but yet again, reinforcement of Chisov Yar garrison maybe means exactly the attempt from Zelensky's regime to establish. Let me show you on the map this area. So that's Bakhmut, and that's Chisov Yar here. And if Zelensky's regime is sending more and more reinforcements in the direction of Chisov Yar, this is, in my reading of this picture, this means that Kiev simply planning to establish some kind of defense line here. I was predicting this kind of development for so long now that, probably all of you are were expecting this kind of developments. And reinforcement of Chisov Yar not necessarily means that Zelensky's regime will continue to hold on to Bakhmut to the end. It's quite opposite, in my understanding. They are trying to establish some new defense lines and then try to withdraw forces from Bakhmut before Bakhmut garrison will collapse. But I'm not sure that Zelensky's regime had enough time left, because once again, even Ukrainian armed forces are saying that it's almost impossible to move in and out of Bakhmut, because all the roads, country roads, are basically broken and unusable, especially because of weather conditions and the mud. And to move through fields here that are between Bakhmut and Chisov Yar is a suicidal mission, basically, because in open field they will definitely become easy target for Russian artillery. So as I was saying many times before, only way Zelensky's regime can save Bakhmut garrison if Zelensky will ask Moscow to open humanitarian corridor so that Ukrainian soldiers from Bakhmut can flee this town without weapons, of course, but at least they will save their lives. When it comes to Bakhmut direction, we had yesterday late afternoon very significant information about this settlement here, Khramove. According to some big Russian Telegram channels, PMC Wagner units are now controlling this settlement, which means that Zelensky's regime has even less chance now to withdraw forces from Bakhmut without Russian permission, without Russia opening humanitarian corridors. So Bakhmut garnison is basically done. It's only matter of days, and we will see collapse of defense lines in Bakhmut. Quite sure. And also, I don't see how Zelensky's regime will be able to establish more or less capable defense line in Chasiv. In my opinion, Chasiv will fail also fairly soon. Let's continue now. And this is quite interesting news also. Yesterday, I did share a video on my Telegram channel about attempt of Ukrainian forces to conduct offensive operation in Zaporizhzhia direction. That attempt was absolute disaster for Ukrainian units, and in that video that I share, you can see destroyed vehicles, you can see destroyed units of Ukrainian armed forces, but yet again this activization of Ukrainian armed forces in direction of Zaporizhzhia once again can be received as an indicator that despite situation in Bakhmut direction, southern part of the front line is quite a different story, and Zelensky's regime has quite enough forces accumulated in Zaporizhzhian direction to conduct offensive operation in next 3 to 5 weeks. And now we are seeing activization of forward units of Ukrainian armed forces, not just in direction of Zaporizhzhia but also in direction of Kherson region. They are actively now trying to cross this waterway, the Dnieper river basically, and they desperately need to establish control over this dump here to move the heavy military vehicles, because it's gonna be impossible to do so through this waterway. And this is expectable, but yet again, yesterday's video, if you see that video, does proves that Russian side probably is quite ready for any possible large-scale counteroffensive, because those units that did conduct offensive were basically smashed in minutes. They did not even had a 1% chance to achieve any success whatsoever. But yet again, we have some indicators that because of Western pressure, Zelensky's regime will definitely try to conduct counteroffensive in direction of this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. As you can see, entire Ukraine is under air raid alert, because I did see information that MiG-31s did take off, and those planes are equipped with hypersonic Kinzhal missiles. So whenever they take off, entire Ukraine is under air raid alert. But I did not see any information that Russian side conduct missile strikes, at least for this moment. Let's continue. And this is also quite significant news. We have TASS news agency's report about publication in Politico, according to which Ukrainian side already lost more than 100,000 soldiers killed in the battlefield. And of course, this is not new information, because in reality there are many reports that Ukrainian side probably lost 350 to 450,000 military personnel, KIA I'm talking about. I don't know how realistic that number is, but Ukrainian side lost more than 100,000 soldiers a long time ago now. If you remember, even this European politician Ursula von something did spoke about it for in a few months ago about these huge losses of Ukrainian forces. But once again, this kind of publications shows you preparation of the ground by Western elites for inevitable defeat of the Ukrainian armed forces and Zelensky's regime, because after this will happen, then they will start talking about casualties, and they will say, you know what are the chance Zelensky's regime had? They because of so many losses, they should conduct some negotiations and the rest of it. So this is part of a propaganda game on behalf of Western elites, because in reality, casualties in Ukrainian side are much more than 100,000. So let's continue now, and we have information. This is TASS news agency is reporting about phone call that Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu had with his colleague from USA, with Lloyd Austin. They did talk about this drone accident and exchange opinions, and some media reports said that Russian side stated that it's too risky, it's inappropriate when US is conducting intelligence gathering operations in close proximities from Russian border, and to de-escalate, Washington should stop sending its surveillance drones and other planes in close proximity to Crimea or Russian borders. And same was probably said during the phone call between head of Russian General Staff Gerasimov and his colleague in the USA, Mark Milley. This accident is finished in my opinion. It's not really interesting to me, at least. I'm talking about drone. Of course, but I did see some quite strong words in some Western media outlets that this accident can cause some third world war and this kind of crap. And when I see that, I was thinking, what kind of analytics or journalists are writing this kind of stuff? Because you cannot say anything like that seriously. But people probably don't really understand what third world war means, and that's why they are using this term as easily. Nowadays, everything, especially in the Western media, nowadays they become so hawkish that now they take it too simply to talk about some nuclear exchange and to talk about World War III, when in reality that kind of development means end of this world as we know it. So of course this accident with drone will not cause direct military conflict between Russia and the US. It was obvious for me, at least from very beginning. So this is first block of news. And now I will record the second block, and then I will unite them and upload this way. So before I end this block, let me advertise my channel a little bit. If you think this channel is interesting, useful, has some potential and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, or subscribe to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. So now I will record the second part, if I may. So this is gonna be second part of today's update, and I will continue with this report from RIA Novosti, according to which elites in United Kingdom have become quite scared because of decision that Russian president made about Poseidon nuclear torpedoes, and according to this information, Russian fleet will be equipped with these torpedoes. And yes, United Kingdom, elites of United Kingdom find it scary, quite scary, and it is scary because these torpedoes, according to some reports, these torpedoes will have a warhead twice as powerful as the Tsar bomba, so-called Tsar bomba. And of course, you are familiar with this name. During the Soviet Union, Moscow did detonate biggest ever nuclear warhead with a power of 50 megatons, and that bomb eventually became called as a Tsar bomb. And the explosion was so powerful, according to some reports, that blast wave 3 times went around the planet. So if this nuclear torpedo has twice as powerful nuclear warhead, of course it's scary. Of course it's gonna be scary for any state, basically, which will provoke a nuclear war with Russia. So quite understandable information, and this is significant because you can see that Russia has to defend itself, and Russia is trying to acquire more and more powerful weapons. And all this will not happen if Western elites will not push constantly Russia. This will not happen. Russia will not need no Poseidon nuclear torpedoes if Western elites will conduct themselves, if not friendly way, at least in respectable manner. Isn't it? But because since the collapse of Soviet Union, Western elites were pushing and escalating with Russia all the time. We are now in a situation when Moscow not really have as much choice, and one of the ways to defend itself, Russia now is acquiring super powerful weapons. One of them is, of course, Poseidon nuclear torpedoes. Some say it has 100 megaton warheads, and they will, once they are detonated near coastal lines, they will create a tsunami wave which will destroy everything, of course, on its path. Let's continue now, and this is RBK News agency is reporting about some kind of confrontation that has erupted inside the Republican Party in the USA, and the reason is Ukraine. Quite understandable. Also, one part of Republican Party is one part of leadership of Republican Party is all for continuation of sending billions and billions of dollars and thousands and thousands of military equipment pieces to Ukraine, to Zelensky's regime. Another part is against this kind of policies, and in this anti-war, if I may say this way, in this anti-war part of leadership of Republican Party, we can see DeSantis and Trump, two major candidates of on presidency from this party, and I think these guys will eventually win because they have support of electorate of the Republican Party. So that's a chance, basically. That's a chance that if Republicans manage to take control over the White House in 2024, then we may see some de-escalation. Hopefully, we will see some de-escalation. But if Republican Party will fail, and these neoliberals and neocons will keep Biden or someone else in the White House, then God knows how far this escalation will go. And now even such a credible journalist like Hersh is saying that Washington, under current White House administration, Washington officials are even working on plans to openly enter this conflict in Ukraine, which is absolutely crazy, isn't it? So let's continue, and a few more news about economical developments, and this is Kommersant News. Kommersant newspapers report about quite difficult situation that Swiss one of the main financial institutions, Credit Suisse Bank, find itself, and nowadays Credit Suisse is asking Central Bank of Switzerland to receive $53.7 billion in support. Can you imagine this? So this banking crisis that has been generated in the USA, little by little is influencing situation on this field, banking field, and in financial system in general for entire West, start influencing on entire financial system of the West. And now we have information that Credit Suisse is basically on the verge of a serious crisis. Otherwise they would not ask for 53 billion support. And this information may be in some ways may be connected with the news that I did share with you a few days ago about statements that Swedish banking society was making, and they were afraid that they will lose Chinese clients basically, and Chinese businesses and Chinese billionaires will start withdrawing funds from Swiss banks, and they already start to do so, as I understand, and not just them, probably companies and billionaires from Middle East also beginning to withdraw their funds from not just Swiss banks but from Western banks in general, because they cannot be trusted no more. Same we can say probably about Indian businesses and businessmen, and Latin America or Africa. And Swiss did enjoy all the benefits of being neutral country for decades, but because of recent political decisions that government of this country made, nowadays many people outside of Western world find it difficult to see Switzerland as a neutral state. Just this morning I did read information, for example, that Swiss banks and Swiss government froze assets of Russian citizens up to $17 billion. So this not really shows neutrality of these kind of decisions, not really credits Swiss as a neutral country, isn't it? So it's obvious that world is losing trust, and this trend will continue. Damage is already done, and I don't think Swiss government will be able to reverse this process. Let's continue now. This is RIA Novosti's report. This is quite interesting report in some sense. According to media, G7 countries are thinking to leave price cap on Russian oil on a level of $60 per barrel. As you know, Baltic states demand this price cap to be much less, but probably G7 countries will ignore demands of the Baltic states, because even now they find it difficult to force the rest of the world to apply this sanction on Russian oil. Even G7 countries themselves are buying Russian oil over this price cap, and I do have information about it. That's it, man. That's information that I want to share with you, which said that this is TASS news agency is reporting that in February, in previous months, Japan, for example, were buying Russian oil on price of $68 for a barrel, which is a little bit higher than $60 price cap, isn't it? And Japan is a member of G7. So you can see how laughable situation is for Western elites, really, and they create this kind of situation for themselves. I mean, no one forced them to act like this, isn't it? And that's why I think it's not really means no more anything. You know, if Western elites and the G7 countries will lift price cap or decrease price cap, because the world don't really care about it, or at least it seems like for this moment. Just look at it, man. Even though Japan buy just little amount of oil from Russia in February, about 232,000 barrels of oil, which is a tiny amount when it comes to world oil market, but still they did pay $68 for a barrel. Let's continue, and this is very interesting news. I want to share with you this information because, as you remember, a few days ago there was quite in Russian media there was quite active news about possibility that India will impose price cap on Russian oil, and that news was based on report from Bloomberg. And yesterday we had some information that Bloomberg was mistaken, and now we have statement from Russian ambassador in India, Denis Alipov, who said that India is not planning to impose sanctions on Russia. India are not planning to impose price cap on Russian oil, and Bloomberg's article was basically fake news. So that's what our friends, our India friends from our community was writing in comment sections in previous days, and they were absolutely correct, as I understand. Now we have a statement from Russian ambassador, and he is saying that Bloomberg was mistaken, and that's a diplomatic word, isn't it? Probably it was a provocation from Bloomberg to publish such a statement to somehow influence relationships between India and Russia. So let's continue, and this is gonna be last news for today's update, for this update at least. And RIA Novosti is reporting that owners of the Zara brand are stating that they want to return to Russian market, and they will do so as soon as political situation will allow them to make such a step. I believe Zara will not be able to come back to Russia anytime soon, but I want to share this information with you because it does show you that many companies that left Russia now are experiencing some difficulties, because the Russian market is a quite significant market for any company, and they are losing quite amount of profits by losing this market. And of course, many of them wants to return to Russian market, but it's not gonna be easy for them. It's not gonna be easy for them because they did make decision and they have to pay. They have to deal with consequences now. So this is it. This is it for this moment. Now I will try to combine these two episodes of today's update by using montage program. Let's see if I succeed. Then I will upload it. If not, then I will probably make another. I will record another update for today. Anyway, thank you for your time. I hope you find this update interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any internet platform that you are active on: Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other. And if you can, and if you want to, you can also support my channel with small donation through PayPal. You will see a link on the description, and also by subscribing to my Patreon page. So yes, this is it. This is it for now. Once again, thank you for your time. Have a nice day and take care.